Jim Jones and his podcast co-hosts took aim at 50 Cent's documentary work during a recorded episode, and 50 Cent's affiliates ensured they paid dearly for it.
I'm going to say it in a short way. At least 80,000, if not 180,000.
What followed was neither a diss track nor a social media spat. It was a landlord partnership, leaked eviction footage, and a meticulously coordinated campaign that left Jones locked out of his own studio. This is the story of how 50 Cent's affiliates dismantled Jim Jones after he came for GUnit. Part 1. The podcast that started it all. On February 19, 2026, security footage surfaced online showing Jim Jones forcefully kicking in a locked door at his own podcast studio after the power had been disconnected and the locks had been changed. The footage was not leaked by a stranger. It was posted by 50 Cent himself, who had partnered with the building's landlord and asserted ownership of the property. In the days that followed, 50 Cent's affiliates, his business connections, the landlord himself, and even Cameron, Jones's own former Dipset teammate, collectively piled on. They posted eviction documents, they shared phone recordings, they mocked Jones for allegedly being unable to afford heating. The blow was not physical, it was financial, public, and orchestrated, and it did not materialize out of thin air. The entire situation originated with a podcast episode recorded 2 months earlier and a conversation about documentaries that 50 Cent took deeply personally. In December 2025, Jim Jones sat down with Mano, Fabius, and Dave East on their podcast, Let's Rap About It. The discussion drifted toward documentaries, specifically whether it was acceptable for someone to produce one about another person without that individual's consent. Dave East posed the question. The answers that followed are what ignited the fuse.
Acceptable for someone to create a documentary about you without your approval. How would you feel if it happened to you?
The room reached consensus immediately. Jim Jones characterized the practice as facetious and petty, while Mino compared it to releasing someone's private material without their permission.
Definitely not acceptable. It's facetious and petty.
Right. It's like somebody putting out your tape.
The criticism continued to intensify. The hosts zeroed in on the notion that someone would disseminate unflattering footage into the world without any regard for how it reflected upon the subject.
Permission.
And you're not an actual porno star.
And they do it.
The lighting wasn't good or nothing.
The implication was anything but subtle. The group was not speaking in hypotheticals, or if they were, the timing told an entirely different story. 50 Cent had recently released Sean Combs' The Reckoning, a Netflix documentary series exploring allegations against the rapper. The Let's Rap About It crew viewed it as exploitative. They labeled it a mockumentary. They questioned the motives behind the project and characterized the entire endeavor as an attempt to weaponize a camera against another individual. The hosts escalated their displeasure with pointed language, making it unambiguously clear that they perceived something fundamentally wrong with the concept of damaging someone's reputation through a documentary they never authorized.
You just look bad.
What?
Oh, they caught me on a bad day? I wasn't even on my This they caught a weak one.
The frustration in the room was palpable, and the group leaned further into the argument that this form of exposure was engineered to inflict irreversible damage upon someone's public image.
The lighting is dark.
Damn.
You see that the lighting is dark?
Got me looking small
You still
out
put
here.
this on the internet?
Word up.
Then Jones distilled the entire sentiment into a single line, one that would establish the tone for everything that followed.
I would
I ain't
feel.
gonna front. I think if they saluting you,
First of all, they want somebody doing a documentary about you.
The thesis was straightforward. A documentary should honor its subject, not dismantle them. Jones drove that point home with unwavering conviction.
Be a dope documentary.
It gotta be dope.
Showing who you are, what you've done,
Without no bullshit
everything
on
you've
it.
accomplished. Like, a documentary is a big thing. Like, you don't want nobody doing a documentary about some, like, trying to just make your whole character look weak. Like, that's petty behavior.
Now, whether Jones was speaking specifically about 50 Cent's documentary or making a broader philosophical observation remains a matter of interpretation. Fabulous also weighed in, questioning whether such a project was even legally permissible, raising concerns about defamation and the unauthorized use of someone's likeness. Mano would later clarify on Instagram that his comments were part of a wider discussion about documentaries in general and were not intended as a targeted attack on 50 Cent. But by that point, the damage had already been done. 50 Cent did not interpret the remarks as general commentary. He took them personally. And once 50 Cent takes something personally, what follows is never confined to mere words. He branded the entire podcast crew as squatters and bums, alleging they owed upwards of $250,000 in unpaid rent for the very studio in which they recorded. He reposted the clip on Instagram with taunting captions. He offered to purchase the studio outright. He began systematically dismantling the credibility of the individuals who had just questioned his own. Mano retaliated with personal insults on Instagram, warning 50 Cent that, if it's smoke, it's smoke. By Christmas Day 2025, the Let's Rap About It hosts had fired back with a squatters' rights freestyle, dissing 50 Cent over his own instrumentals, a bold maneuver that accomplished nothing beyond providing 50 Cent with additional ammunition. He was far from finished. What Jones and his co-hosts failed to realize was that by questioning 50 Cent's documentary work, they had opened a door that 50 Cent was fully prepared to walk through, lease documents in hand. The podcast criticism was one matter. What 50 Cent executed next was something else entirely. Rather than simply exchanging bars or firing off Instagram captions, 50 Cent went directly to the source of Jim Jones's studio space, the landlord, and recorded the conversation. It was a maneuver that fans and commentators would subsequently describe as nothing short of diabolical. 50 Cent shared an audio recording of a phone call with the owner of the building where Jim Jones and the Let's Rap About It crew had been recording. The landlord, identified as Sam, had a great deal to say about how their business relationship had deteriorated into something contentious and financially untenable.
Build it, but he won't sign the lease. He's like, I don't like these terms. I want like 6 months of build out. And ridiculous bullshit.
According to Sam, Jones had been operating within the building under ambiguous lease terms, demanding extensive build-out concessions, while refusing to finalize the agreement that would have formalized the arrangement. The portrait Sam painted was that of a tenant who wanted all the privileges of the space with none of the accompanying obligations. But the financial entanglement extended far deeper than rent disputes.
We also have a partnership agreement where half of what he's building now, his media, belongs to us. But he won't tell us how much he's making and doing all these things. So half of the content he's creating, if you want to buy that too, I'll sell you half the company.
The landlord was not merely a property owner collecting rent checks. He claimed a contractual stake in the podcast's media output. Half of the content Jones was producing allegedly belonged to the building's owner as part of the original arrangement, and Jones, according to Sam, had refused to disclose earnings or cooperate with the terms of that partnership. The lack of transparency had apparently corroded the relationship to the point where Sam was willing to sell that stake to a third party, specifically to the very man engaged in a feud with his own tenant. Sam then offered to sell that media stake to 50 Cent as an additional incentive, a detail that reveals just how thoroughly transactional the entire arrangement had become, and how little confidence Sam retained in the business relationship producing any viable outcome.
Like insane. To me, it's worth very little to nothing. But if it works out for you, I just throw that in as a sweetener. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is he signed a lease with me.
And then the landlord disclosed the figure that would dominate headlines for the following week and fundamentally reshape public perception of the entire Let's Rap About It operation.
He owes, I'm going to say in a short way, at least $80,000, if not $180,000.
At minimum, $80,000, possibly as high as $180,000. Subsequent reports would later push that figure to $250,000. Regardless of the precise amount, it painted a devastating financial portrait of Jones's podcast operation, one that depended on a space its host allegedly could not afford. The irony was suffocating. The same crew that had just occupied that studio to question 50 Cent's ethics apparently could not cover the electricity bill required to keep the lights on while they did so. 50 Cent did not absorb this information privately. He posted it publicly. He tagged it. He captioned it with ridicule. The message was unequivocal. While Jim Jones and his co-hosts were seated in a studio questioning 50 Cent's documentary ethics, they could not even pay for the chairs they were sitting in. And for 50 Cent, this was not the climax. It was merely the setup. Reports began circulating that 50 Cent had partnered with or outright purchased the building from Sam, elevating his position from provocateur to property owner. He subsequently posted, "Sam is my partner. I own the joint. Now you're gonna fix every door you kicked or I'm gonna kick your Jimmy." Whether this claim of ownership was fully verified or simply another layer of strategic trolling was ultimately immaterial. The perception had been established. 50 Cent was the landlord now, and the footage that followed would become the eviction notice heard across all of hip-hop. On February 19, 2026, 50 Cent posted something that none of his followers anticipated. It was not a diss track. It was not a meme. It was not even a caption with a clever punchline. It was security camera footage, time-stamped, high definition, and profoundly humiliating. The footage depicted Jim Jones and associates in a hallway outside the podcast studio, identified as IFC Film Studios. The lights were extinguished, the doors were secured, and the electricity had been disconnected. Jones struggled with one door, referenced the power having been cut, and ultimately kicked in a second door to gain entry. Every moment was captured in crisp detail by the building's security cameras, the same cameras to which 50 Cent now appeared to have access.
You're not supposed to be hurt, Jim? You cut the lights off.
50 Cent captioned the footage with surgical mockery. "Damn, bro, this wouldn't happen if we was friends. Wanna be friends? I don't know, let's rap about it, LOL." The callback to the podcast's name was pointed, deliberate, and engineered to twist the knife as deeply as possible, reinforcing the narrative and eliminating any ambiguity about what had transpired. 50 Cent also posted an eviction notice addressed to Joseph Jones and IFC Management LLC. The document cited a 15-day default notice that had expired on January 22, 2026, followed by a 5-day termination notice that expired on February 17, 2026. By the time the footage was recorded on February 19th, the lease had already been terminated for 2 full days. The notice permitted Jones to retrieve personal belongings by contacting the landlord, but that was the extent of his legal access to the property. The social media reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. Complex described the escalation as next level. Fans flooded comment sections with phrases such as "peak petty genius" and noted how 50 Cent had avoided physical confrontation entirely, replacing fists with financial leverage and surveillance footage. One commenter on X wrote that this feud will last for a lifetime. Others questioned how 50 Cent had even obtained access to the security cameras in the first place, calling it Big Brother energy. Some speculated that 50 Cent's partnership with the landlord had granted him unrestricted access to the building's entire surveillance infrastructure. The YouTube commentary channel All Urban Central dissected the situation in granular detail, framing it as a convergence of long-standing animosity, business disputes, and social media spectacle that only 50 Cent could orchestrate. The host set the scene with precision, acknowledging the duality of what viewers were witnessing unfold in real time. Yo, nah, this is getting disrespectful and hilarious at the same time. The channel also highlighted the suspicious nature of 50 Cent's access to the security footage, raising the question that everyone was contemplating but few could definitively answer.
Nah, this is getting disrespectful and hilarious at the same time.
The contrast between the gravity of a formal eviction and the absurdity of how it played out online was precisely what made this moment so potent. 50 Cent had transformed a landlord-tenant dispute into consumable content, and he was winning the narrative war decisively. He followed up by issuing Jones a deadline: pay the outstanding balance by Monday or the situation would intensify further. He shared additional clips. He tagged more individuals. He maintained pressure that was sustained and relentless, because for 50 Cent, humiliation is not a singular event, but a sustained campaign designed to exhaust the target into silence or submission. Online commentators had a field day dissecting every frame of the footage. Some mocked Jones directly. One wrote, "From Dipset to Evict Set." Another labeled the group Lobby Boys. Others fixated on the physical struggle with the door itself, writing, "Super Thug Grandpa doesn't even know how to kick in a door." But the most incisive observation came from users who connected the footage to a broader conversation about wealth and authenticity in hip-hop, noting that these rap guys don't get money like they claim. The footage had accomplished more than embarrassing Jim Jones. It had challenged the entire image he had spent decades constructing.
Wearing what looks like the same outfit from the viral clip that started showing off martial art moves with Bruce Leroy in the back. Talk about show enough.
The analysis from All Urban Central emphasized how Jones avoided playing directly into 50 Cent's hands by refusing to engage on emotional terms and instead redirecting the energy entirely.
Honestly, that's probably the smartest way to respond when 50 Cent is trolling you. Because once 50 gets a reaction, he wins.
The channel then explained why this approach mattered strategically, because the single worst thing anyone can do when 50 Cent is trolling them is demonstrate that the trolling has had its intended effect.
You troll back without looking emotional? Yeah, now the internet starts debating who really won the round.
The host elaborated further on why the situation carried such considerable weight, connecting it to years of accumulated tension that rendered every exchange between these two men charged with historical significance.
He was not a rapper then.
Right.
He was your man, like on the side, like in the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
50 Cent recognized that Jones was experiencing his first genuine commercial breakthrough with Ballin, and understood what that moment represented for someone who had spent years watching everyone around him succeed first.
So when Ballin took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that.
50 Cent compared Jones watching his Dipset teammates flourish to the hunger Lloyd Banks must have experienced watching other GUnit members achieve solo success. Jones craved that caliber of individual recognition desperately, and 50 Cent was fully aware of it.
And them be that, like Mace be that, and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally, he had one.
So 50 Cent extended the bait, and Jones took it without hesitation.
Look, and I knew I just took the shot, murder, to see, because I wasn't sure he was gonna go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam.
That line, "We like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam," was the weapon. It was not a genuine compliment to Jones. It was a wedge driven surgically between Jones and Cameron, designed to exploit insecurity and ambition simultaneously. It fed Jones the validation he had been starving for, while simultaneously disrespecting the man to whom Jones was supposed to remain loyal.
50 Cent observed Jones absorb the flattery and recognized that the play had succeeded exactly as designed. He identified the hunger, the eagerness, the willingness to cross a line that Cameron would never forgive, and he exploited every element of it. That 2007 moment would define the next 2 decades of their interactions, a recurring cycle of provocation, exploitation, and retaliation that has never fully ceased. The bigger picture, 50 Cent's conflict machine and what lies ahead. What transpired with the studio footage was not an isolated incident. It was the latest chapter in a playbook that 50 Cent has been refining since the early 2000s, a sophisticated system of conflict that transforms every adversary into content and every rivalry into a business opportunity, feeding his ever-expanding media empire. His most renowned template was established during the feud with Ja Rule and Murder Incorporated. After surviving a 2000 shooting allegedly connected to their camp, 50 Cent released Wanksta and Back Down, records that systematically dismantled Ja Rule's commercial standing while propelling 50 Cent into superstardom. That conflict involved physical altercations, industry blacklisting attempts, and mixtape campaigns so devastating they captured the attention of Eminem and Dr. Dre. The lesson 50 Cent absorbed was elemental. Conflict, when managed correctly, is the most powerful marketing instrument in hip-hop. And unlike most individuals who internalize that lesson, 50 Cent never abandoned it. He has applied that principle methodically over 2 decades. The Rick Ross rivalry, the Floyd Mayweather exchanges, the Daryl Morey legal saga. Each confrontation followed identical architecture: provoke, escalate, document, post, and allow the internet to amplify the rest while he observes engagement metrics climb. Fans on X have designated him the roast god and the best troll on the internet. Billboard has written extensively about his role as hip-hop's perpetual narrator, someone who antagonizes opponents while remaining above the fray, never dirtying his own hands while his targets scramble to formulate responses. The Jim Jones saga represents the most sophisticated and ruthless iteration of this approach to date. Rather than diss tracks, 50 Cent deployed property transactions. Rather than street confrontations, he utilized security cameras. Rather than subliminal references buried in a verse, he posted lease termination documents bearing timestamps and legal language that permitted no room for misinterpretation. And the numbers tell a brutally asymmetric story that illuminates why 50 Cent can operate with such impunity. 50 Cent has sold over 30 million albums worldwide, held 3 #1 singles on the Billboard Hot 100, and constructed an entertainment empire through GUnit Films, the Power franchise, and ventures such as the vitamin water sale that netted him approximately $100 million. His estimated net worth in 2026 ranges between $40 million and $100 million, depending on the source. Jim Jones, by contrast, peaked commercially with We Fly High in the mid-2000s, has released 7 solo studio albums with combined first-week sales that never exceeded 21,000 units after 2005, and carries an estimated net worth of $400,000 to $600,000. The financial disparity is not merely a background detail. It constitutes the entire battlefield. When 50 Cent offers to purchase your studio and you cannot cover your own rent, the power dynamic speaks for itself without a single word needing to be uttered. Yet Jones has not vanished. He responded to the eviction footage with the Kung Fu video, framing the entire ordeal as free promotion for his brand. He subsequently posted a walkthrough of his studio space, showing active construction and positioning himself as an investor in a multipurpose content creation facility, rather than a man who had just been publicly humiliated on Instagram.
Watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, he really like that. Give me this, get you, Jim.
That opening line acknowledged the attention without flinching from it, pivoting the narrative from victimhood to showmanship.
On the year off at the top of your Explorer. Are you not entertained?
Jones walked through raw, unfinished spaces within the building, showcasing boutiques, barbershops, and studios still under construction, framing the disarray as active progress rather than evidence of failure.
Oh, everybody want to put my business in the street. I'm gonna talk to you about my business. Right now, I am in the second phase of construction.
He highlighted young creators still working in the space despite the conditions, characterizing their presence as proof that opportunity carries greater value than comfort, that the vision was larger than any single dispute with a landlord or a rival rapper.
I was thinking of building like a little mark, but we'll see how that goes. What up, look? Show you what we'll be doing. I'm building a multi-purpose content creation facility. For media, fashion, music, and broadcast.
Jones also addressed the frigid temperatures inside the building head-on, a detail that both 50 Cent and Cameron had mocked relentlessly in earlier posts, with 50 Cent once adding wind sound effects and captions to a clip of the crew bundled in winter clothing. The fact that Jones confronted the conditions directly rather than pretending everything was satisfactory signaled a different strategy entirely: own the mess, redirect the narrative, and continue building.
Those opportunities, they still be in work in the midst of us working. So we're still in the midst of construction.
Jones framed the entire venture as community-oriented, positioning the space not merely as a podcast studio, but as an incubator for creators who lack institutional resources.
I've been happy to be able to invest in myself and something that I know is going to help a lot of other people. I'm not building this facility for myself.
Whether that response proves sufficient remains an open question with no definitive answer. Some reports indicate that Jones wired over $200,000 to the landlord to resolve the matter, allowing him to retain occupancy and continue the build-out. But 50 Cent has continued posting regardless, as though the financial resolution altered nothing about the public humiliation already inflicted. Cameron, Jones's former Dipset ally, also joined the offensive during this period, mocking Jones's alleged financial difficulties and offering to send him money via Zelle for heating costs. Jones fired back at Cameron, calling him soft and freaky, which only widened the circle of individuals taking aim. As of February 21, 2026, no legal actions have been confirmed beyond mutual threats, and the situation remains active across social media, with both sides seemingly content to sustain the conflict indefinitely. The question all Urban Central posed at the conclusion of their breakdown still lingers in the air, unanswered and perhaps unanswerable.
It's a business move, that's why I invested in myself, but I'm building a facility for all creators.
That is the essential question. And in a rivalry that has been smoldering for nearly 20 years with no indication of resolution, the answer may well be both. But only one of them owns the building. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, click on one of the selections appearing on your screen to explore more content like this.